Ramadan Kareem, good morning everyone and welcome back to Lovin Dubai show. Today our top stories. Dubai residents are confused regarding the rules of eating in public. We're going to take you through everything you need to know about Ramadan 2022 in Dubai.
And we'll also talk about a sick goat that was rescued and rehabilitated by a Dubai princess.
Also, police are warning residents to not rush home for iftar. We've seen accidents on the roads. We want to cut that out, so take note. There is no need to rush.
And something very exciting, the Real Housewives of Dubai cast has been revealed ahead of the show's June 1st premiere,
which dropped over the weekend, and we are buzzing. But before we get into all of that, we just want to give you a quick reminder about our fabulous Share and Iftar campaign. So Lovin Dubai is collaborating with Dubai Tourism to give you the chance to very easily and simply and effectively give back during Ramadan. So for every picture of an iftar that you post, it could be on your feed or on a story. So basically go out, enjoy iftar, take a picture and put it on your story, tag us at Lovin Dubai and use the hashtag Share and Iftar, and we will donate an iftar to someone in need. So you go out, you have your iftar, you enjoy it, tag us, put it on Instagram, make sure that we see it. This is in collaboration with Dubai Tourism and we're going to give back an iftar to people in need. It's a fabulous cause and we'd love you to get behind it.
Giving back has become so easy these days, like such a small thing, literally just snap a picture, put it on Instagram like you would usually do and just add a hashtag and tag us and bam.
Bam's done. And before we get into all of our top stories, Simran and I were scratching our heads before the show and we were talking about something that's kind of close to both of our hearts, I might say. Would you agree?
Yeah. But this is very generic, nothing personal at all.
This is not a personal conversation where we like air our grievances when we talk about pet peeves in relationships. What are yours? But it's not personal, by the way.
It's not personal.
It's not from personal experiences.
This is just like if I had, because my partner is perfect. So a person who uses their phone way too much, definitely someone who lies, like, no.
It's not a pet peeve, Simran.
That is a pet peeve.
Someone who lies is like, not okay.
Oh, okay, red flag.
Red flag gone.
Red flag. Okay, so these are just triggers, fine. So someone who uses their phone way too much.
Because if you're using your phone too much, it shows that you're not in the moment. That you're not present.
Exactly.
But aren't we all a bit guilty of that?
I mean,
like if hypothetically, if you're upset with your partner for using his phone, hypothetically, would he ever get upset with you for doing the same, or are you on your phone?
Oh my God, yes. But like, guys have a thing. They would just start playing games on their phone, start watching the matches on their phone. Like, who cares about the match?
I mean, what people choose to do on their phone is their own prerogative.
Wow, okay. Wait, fine. I get that. But like too much of it, like start playing PUBG for 3 hours straight.
When you should be talking to Simran. Being on your phone, I 100% agree. Goes both ways. Very,
and
very
I think like as you go, like as time flies in a relationship, time goes by, you start making less of an effort, right? Because it's like you lose the spark, and then I don't know, like you just stop making an effort. And I think that is a pet peeve. You should always keep the spark alive.
Again, is it a pet? Yeah, it must be a pet peeve. You get, I guess, a couple of years in, and you're like, remember on like our first day, you bought me flowers and chocolates. Why don't you do that anymore?
Yeah, okay, fine. Maybe that's not a pet peeve.
No, I think that is a pet peeve.
That is?
Because it's like you want to keep the fire going. But then at the same time, I think you have to understand that sometimes the relationship won't always be the same, but there's other things that you love about the person. So yeah, on the first date, they might have brought flowers and chocolates, but were you able to cry on their shoulder in the first date? Probably not. So there's like that balance.
Right. yeah, relationships do evolve and grow. What are your pet peeves?
Hypothetically,
Hypothetically.
I find that when you go to a restaurant, there's always one in the relationship who enjoys or is very comfortable giving feedback to the service team or complaining. And then there's always the person who's like hiding behind the menu, right?
That's so true. That's so true.
So for in my relationship, I would 100% be the hider. And Jamie, but like the thing is, there's a really fine balance of like feedback versus complaining, because in some cases, it's like I would love to be more vocal as to like, okay, actually, I didn't order this. so there's like that fine balance. But there's always one person who's like very happy, or like if you're, you know, if you're standing behind a queue and people cut in line.
Yeah.
There's the person who's going to be like, hey, you skipped the queue. And then the other person who's like, go ahead.
So you're the go ahead. And
I'm the go ahead.
Anyone who would be like, you skipped the queue is a pet peeve for you? No.
Just someone who's like, who like will publicly defend themselves, which is amazing.
Yeah.
But it's just not me.
Like someone who's too aggro.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Interesting word.
I would, you know, I wouldn't mind someone who gives feedback and complains, but I would mind someone who's rude to the waiters. Like
exactly. So there's the fine line between the feedback and the rude, right?
Yeah.
So feedback is a really nice word for complaining, basically.
Yeah.
But then there's like, do you do it in a nice way and you're like friendly with them, or are you actually on the verge of
That's true.
making their day more difficult?
Anymore? Are people sending in pet peeves?
Share your pet peeves. Okay, so someone who's utterly unreliable. So there's like people on time versus not on time. There's always that one person who's ready like 2 hours before the other person.
Yeah.
Saying I'm fine when I'm actually not.
Are you the one who's always ready before your partner?
I'm always ready for work things on time. And then in like actual life, I'm really late.
I mean, yeah. Okay, so for the things that matter, you're on time. Like work. That's where it matters, no?
Well, depends what you think about matters. Being unresponsive, so not replying to messages, and resorting to the silent treatment, that's very pet peeve-y.
Oh, are you just reading off the internet now?
But yeah.
Just generic pet peeves.
Generic pet peeves.
What are yours? What are yours?
Opening up Instagrams, as always, we see your comments. We love to read them before, during, and after the show. We have Facebook. Well, I need to open Facebook. We have Instagram open, Twitter, TikTok, YouTubes. All of it. Okay, let's jump into our top stories.
Yes.
Guys, this weekend, of course, Ramadan was announced, and we want to jump through some of the laws and the rules in Dubai regarding eating in public, because this year it seems that some people are confused, and we can understand why, because Ramadan in Dubai used to be vastly different from what it is today. And many residents remember that restaurants in the city would actually close until it was iftar time. They would also remember that it was strictly prohibited to eat in public, which it still is, but we'll get to that in a second. And restaurants also had to cover with strict black coverings on the windows. So you could not see into restaurants during Ramadan. And this was a very short time ago.
Now, a lot has changed regarding Ramadan and the rules surrounding eating in public during fasting hours. But if you remember, last year, Dubai restaurants no longer needed to screen off the dining areas during fasting hours. But to some of us, it still is something we just have to get used to, because seeing dining areas completely open during fasting hours was not the norm long ago.
So as of now, what is okay is eating in public, as in not in a restaurant, cafe or food court, should be avoided out of respect for those who are fasting. So no eating in public. However, if you're in a restaurant, it's okay.
So basically, what the new rule is now is it's best to practice not to be eating in public. And if you're not fasting, you'd like to stop for a drink or some food, feel free to go to any food court. And restaurants also have removed the screens and they operate as normal. So these are the rules for eating in public during Ramadan in Dubai.
I think it's just that kind of, yes, it was okay last year and the screens were removed, but we're still kind of getting used to it.
Yeah.
So, for example, this weekend, I know Ramadan has started, but I saw restaurants open without the coverings, and it's very much that like, it's nearly like the kind of going out without your mask at certain points, because it's like, I know I'm allowed to be outside without my mask, but I still feel like it should be on.
Yeah.
So it's like, you know that you can, sit outside in some restaurants but you still feel like you should be inside out of respect to people. I know now some restaurants are doing it differently. So a couple of cafes in my area, they still are only allowing eating indoors, but maybe hotels are allowed to eat outdoors. So it varies on the venue.
Exactly.
But it is something that you might get used to seeing, that people can eat in open restaurants in the malls. However, in food courts and such. However, refrain from eating in public in general areas or drinking in public, just out of respect for people who are fasting. Those are the rules.
Of course, and it's just that the F&B industry has had such a huge blow to them during the pandemic. So this is just an extra thing for them, just to make sure that, you know, they don't suffer more. You get what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, anyway. Move on to our next story. Now, a sick goat was rescued and rehabilitated by a Dubai princess. Now, Her Highness Sheikha Latifa Rashid Al Maktoum shared an incredible journey of her rescue goat, which will really make you exorbitantly emotional. Now, the baby goat was found in a farm suffering from paralysis since birth. And he could not walk or stand on his legs, and vets suspected his condition was due to neurological disorders or a severe vitamin deficiency, or even complications from birth. However, with lots of love and care from Sheikha Latifa, the goat was able to undergo extensive treatment and hit major milestones.
It was such an incredible story, and it was so nice to see the video on Instagram. So Her Highness shared a 3-minute video documenting the goat's journey from finding him to the treatment, and then of course the happy ending. I don't know about you, but like happy animal stories on Instagram just give me so much life. She called it our little miracle, and in the video you can see the goat at the beginning struggling to stand up. However, with time it got the medical care it needed, from medication to physiotherapy, and with all Her Highness's love and care, the little goat was finally able to walk and run across the field. This was an emotional journey. Like, if you watch the dodo, does anyone follow the dodo on Instagram? And it's these animal stories of like, oh, you know, we found this like hippopotamus and we like brought it to, or we found this like baby deer and it like had a broken leg, we brought it to life. And they're like these 3-minute epic sagas of animal care. Gets me every time.
Oh my
and this was
God.
one right here in Dubai by a princess. It's just magical.
I love the royal family. First Fazza with Grace, and now Sheikha Latifa with this beautiful, cute baby goat. And the guys, if you're seeing the video beside us, like I'm Instagram, you can't, but it's not there on our feed yet. But of course, you can go onto our Instagram and check it out. It's the sweetest ever video, and the fact that she really like invested in his physiotherapy, like the machines and stuff, to be able to get him to walk again, and then the regular walks in the parks, and just like, you know, a paralyzed goat to the point where he can walk and run on his own was just so touching. And of course, an inspiring story that reminds us all to be kind and compassionate to animals.
And 100%. Let's jump into our next story. We're talking about police warn residents to rush home for iftar. So please be safe on the roads. Of course, we're waking up to a seriously foggy morning, but we're talking about iftar, which is sunset time, and police are reporting people that rush hour begins actually 2 hours before iftar. And they say it's important not to speed or tailgate to get home to reach iftar. So driving violations have been reported on the first day of Ramadan due to people speeding and tailgating to catch iftar.
Now, police reported that iftar rush, the rush hour starts 2 hours before iftar. Most people want to break their fast with families, but this has resulted in a huge number of motorists speeding across the UAE. Even 2 hours before iftar, there have been reports of multiple minor injuries on the Etihad Road, Mohammed bin Zayed Road, Emirates Road, and other major highways in Sharjah, such as Al Wahda.
So during this time, it's been a full day since Ramadan started. Police supported a bigger fleet to ensure smooth and safe traffic flow across the Emirates. It's also worth mentioning that accidents can occur to those who are delivering iftar to your home. So you can potentially order your iftar in advance, so delivery drivers aren't rushed at that time. It was also incredible. Of course, Ramadan has started to see the just the kind of the Ramadan mood in Dubai. So I was out driving around sunset, and we were in the marina area and traffic stopped, and there was people on behalf of Dubai police delivering boxes of iftar to everyone that was breaking fast at that time.
That's
So it's just that vibe that you see, and they're delivering these. We've gotten loads of stories of people sharing this across the city, and it's just that amazing kind of the really give back initiatives that you see citywide during Ramadan. It's just it's not something I grew up with. So it's something I see, and it's kind of like a renewed sense of kind of like joy every year. It's really, really lovely, and it started this weekend. It's very nice to see.
And it's so inclusive, like the fact that you see them going and giving boxes to every car. They don't ask like, are you fasting, are you not? They just give the box, and it really makes you feel a sense of such inclusivity in this city. And of course, like there are so many gas stations all across. So if you are in a rush and you're not able to get home on time to break your fast, please do stop at a gas station where you can head on down, buy something light to eat until you reach home. Exactly. We all get the hunger emotions. But we'll move on to our next story. The Real Housewives of Dubai cast has been revealed ahead of the show's June 1st premiere. Now, Bravo TV dropped a fiery video last Friday that revealed the 6 cast members who will star in the show. Now, The Real Housewives has had many successful renditions within American cities, including Miami, Beverly Hills, Atlanta, and New York. But this will be its first venture outside the USA, and the date for the premiere is set to release for June 1st of this year.
And we are officially buzzing, and we have the names. So there was the rumors.
There were the rumors.
But now we have the actual names of the gorgeous ladies who will be starring in The Real Housewives of Dubai. We have Caroline Brooks, Nina Ali, Chanel Ayan, Sarah Al-Madani, Lisa Milan, and of course, the incredible Caroline Stanbury.
Now, although the reaction to this announcement was mixed, most of them are of excitement, and others have already decided to skip the watch. But of course, this is all pre-release.
Get out. We are going to be talking about this show.
This is going to be the official Real Housewives of Dubai commentary page. It is what it is.
We're rebranding again, by the way. First it was Dubai Solutions, now Real Housewives of Dubai commentary page.
We're still Dubai Solutions, by the way. But anyway, guys, like this was all pre-release talk, but of course people would be quick to change their minds once the show actually airs.
I don't think people will. I think it's because it's a drama show, and you kind of already know if you're going to like the style of show or not. It's
I guess
it is because
but you still want to watch it.
Yeah, like any show about Dubai, I want to watch because I live here. So there might be that pull at the beginning, but I think the people who will stay hooked will be the people that usually watch that type of like, I guess, for like reality TV show drama. That's like, that's like quite catty. But I'm super excited. I guess I know 3 of them. Like, not personally.
You've met. One you've spoken, Chanel Ayan, for sure.
Oh, yeah. Who's, by the way, so Chanel Ayan, we had her on the show before, and she came on during Zoom. So it was or during COVID. So it was a Zoom chat. The most, like, coolest lady. She was just so glamorous. And she was so funny, and she was just so, like, energetic on the other side of the Zoom call. And I just remember, like, I was sitting at home in my apartment, like,
chilling.
Quite chill. Yeah. And she was super glamorous and so funny, so energetic. So I just think that she's going to be such an incredible addition to the show. Obviously, Caroline Stanbury, who's done some reality TV show in London. I follow her on Instagram, and she really tells it like it is. Like, she just is her own person 100%. So I can't wait to see what she brings to fold. Of course, Sarah Al-Madani. And then the others I don't know, but I look forward to getting to know.
Yeah, it's going to be, I'm sure Chris Faith's wedding is going to...
Some of them were there.
Feature in that show.
I believe Nina Ali was there, Caroline Stanbury. Not sure of the others.
It's going to be crazy. And the teaser.
Should we have a watch party?
We should. At least for the pilot episode.
Would you guys come?
Stream it live.
Stream it live. Our commentaries is like, just an excuse to watch it.
But the teaser?
It'll be on Bravo, so we need to figure out how we can watch it.
Oh. Okay, I'll watch it, yeah. But literally, like, I was watching the teaser on loop when it came out. It was so good and chic. Like, just Chanel, like, blowing the sand and, like, I'm in my element, the whole song, right?
What was the song? I don't even remember. It came out on the plane, so I was like, watching it. Like,
you're gonna... Anyway.
God, we have time. I don't know the song. No one knows the song. What's the song?
No, you have to hear it for yourself. It has to just go with her blowing the sand particles into the air. It just felt
I can do the blowing if you do
fairy
the...
dust.
You do the song. Look, we could be like, you know, real...
Moving on.
Moving on. Okay. Simran, this is, by the way, we're in Studio 1 today because we have some construction going on in Studio 2. So you can't actually see Simran kicking me beneath it. Move on. I'm going to sing the song, Casey.
Wow, so exposed right now. You just did that.
This is why we're totally barred for you guys. Okay, guys, do stay tuned. We have the ever-inspiring Mark Colburn on the show. His story is incredible, and we have him. We're so lucky and grateful for his time today. He's going to be with us right after this break. Welcome back to Love in Dubai show. We are now joined by the ever-inspiring Mark Colburn MBE, who just 2 years after a near-fatal paragliding accident, he went on his way to winning medals galore at paracycling events around the world. Welcome to the show.
Thank you ever so much. Thank you.
We're very excited to have you here. Your story is one of legend, I believe. Your life took a turn, an unexpected turn. Can you tell us a little bit about it?
Yes, very much so. Born and bred in Wales, in the United Kingdom, and I guess always being a keen sportsman, you know, always had a great health and well-being upbringing. And I guess paragliding for me was just one of my sports that I enjoyed because I competed in triathlon. I was a keen rock climber. I think my parents probably thought that I was, you know, the early Tom Cruise, shall we say. But in May 2009, unfortunately, whilst paragliding, you know, in my home of Wales, unfortunately, my canopy collapsed.
What does that mean, a canopy collapse?
So I was flying maybe 40 feet or 15 meters above the ground, and my paragliding canopy just collapsed, you know, through almost a freak of nature. And I guess I was just in the wrong place at the wrong time. And there's only one way to go, straight down. And I landed on grass, you know, feet first. And as I hit the floor, unfortunately, I actually broke my back, you know, in the impact, you know. So yeah.
Can you remember your thoughts at
Yes.
that moment?
Yes.
You can?
Yes, I can. I can still, even now, you know, sort of 13 years on, I can still see the grass coming up, and I can still see my flying boots as I hit the floor. And that was probably the worst thing to do, was to look down, because then obviously as I hit the floor, my body just compressed, and I broke T12, which is a thoracic fracture. And I guess at the time I thought it was the end of my life. However, you know, it was just the start, shall we say, you know.
Interesting. So after the accident, what was the recovery period? You spent, I guess, 3 months in hospital?
Longer, actually, yeah. I spent 94 days
94
paralyzed on my back, just staring at the hospital ceiling, and genuinely, you know, speaking to my parents and just thinking, you know, this is probably the end. Because if you think of the life that I had before, you know, I had a fantastic job working in Cardiff, you know, the capital of Wales. You know, as a senior accounts manager, I was loving life, you know, I really was, and competing in sport every weekend. And yeah, just everything was great, you know. But obviously that curveball, well, it changed everything, you know.
Interesting, 'cause, like a keen athlete, like it was your life. But what you've just said now is that, you know, it changed your life. What does that mean?
Well, I think if you understand, when we go through change, you know, for instance, the pandemic for the last 2 years, okay, nobody was prepared for the pandemic. We didn't expect it. We didn't think it was going to turn up. It just arrived, you know. So the whole planet experienced the pillars of change, which was apprehension, fear, doubt, and certainly uncertainty, you know, what was going to happen, what's next, you know. So when I went through that experience in hospital of lying in hospital bed, both my legs didn't work, I was paralyzed from the waist down, I just thought, well, if this is going to be my life for the rest of my life, maybe I don't want to go through that, you know. So there was suicidal thoughts, you know, there was just horrible dark times in my mind. And thanks to my parents, you know, who were just, you know, they were just icons. They both passed away now, unfortunately. But I never forget my late father saying to me one evening, after maybe 3 or 4 months, he said, look, you've got to pull yourself together. Just stop upsetting me, stop upsetting your mum, and just get through this, because you're a winner. And that was it. That was the light bulb moment when I thought, he's got a point, you know. So then it was pulling myself together, using my resilience, and just being patient, because the body takes time to repair, you know.
But I'm sure at that point when your late father, and I'm very sorry to your parents, him telling you you're a winner, no one had any idea as to what you were going to achieve.
No.
So how did you jump into, I guess, cycling? And
I think after I spent 6 months in hospital, I spent 12 months learning to walk again, you know, with only half of my legs working. And that was physically tough, that was mentally tough, you know, very frustrating. But I guess we all have this inert warrior that I speak about now on stage, that we can get through it. So when you think there's not one more step, there's never one more step, trust me, there's always one more step, you know? So leaving hospital, I knew if I got myself fit and active again, because I'd been healthy all my life, that would help me then to maybe go back into the working environment, maybe start to have a life again.
So that was the goal at the time.
It was literally a day-by-day goal to improve just slightly every day, you know, opposed to the previous day, if that makes sense, you know. And that's when, I guess that's when the childhood dream really started, you know. And I suppose I can sit here today with a smile on my face because I have gratitude, okay? I'm very grateful. Not only grateful to be here, but to be alive. Because technically, I shouldn't be. You know, I should be in the local cemetery in South Wales, and I'm just so grateful, you know.
Grateful to be alive, but you sit here before us as a Paralympic medalist holder, which is just phenomenal. So that giant leap, can you show us?
Yes,
and tell us about the journey of like going into the Paralympics and being part of all of that, and just like a whole new life.
Even today, I still pinch myself, you know, I really do. Even now, 10 years on, you know, 2022 is the 10-year anniversary, you know, for the home games at London, you know, the Olympics and the Paralympics. And the journey started, actually, believe it or not, in June 2010. And people say to me, how do you remember those dates? Because it was
Your
just the start.
accident was 2009?
2009, yeah. So,
wow.
So 1 year on, after, you know, after breaking my back, I started cycling with a disability, as I've explained. And we were actually doing a charity bike ride for the Wales Air Ambulance, who were the organisation that treated me on the day of my crash.
Wow.
So I wanted to give back. I wanted to raise money for this incredible organisation that saves lives, you know, 52 weeks of the year. So we're doing this bike ride. I'd been riding about 6 months, 5 or 6 months at this point. And I'll never forget this moment. The first day was 84 miles on this bike ride, because it was a full 7 days, 520 miles in a week. And this guy tapped me on the shoulder at the end of the day, and he says to me, I'd like to have a word with you after you finish your food. I'll see you outside. Now, this guy was like 100 kilograms of muscle. And I thought, oh dear. I've done something wrong here, you know. So we go.
It's going to be really slowly.
Yeah, so I was on crutches at the time. So I took my crutches with me just in case, because I didn't know what I'd done, you know. And this gentleman says, what's wrong with your legs? So I explained lower leg paralysis, only half my legs work. And then we had a great conversation about how I was cycling with a disability, but not just how I was cycling, but how I was keeping up with all of the able-bodied riders, you know. So this gentleman, after this conversation, he said to me, can I ask you a question? I said, yes, of course. He said, are you training for the London 2012 Paralympic Games?
Goosebumps.
I said, sorry? He said, are you training for the London Games in 2 years' time? I said, no. Why the hell would I do that? He said, I think you should. And that was it. The light bulb moment. And I just thought, oh my gosh, what if I can transform my life to, you know, from breaking my back to maybe breaking records at the home games, you know? Excuse me. So I said to this gentleman, I said, can I ask you who you are? And he said, my name is Dr. Ben Matthews. I'm a chiropractor from Wales, from Cardiff. And I said, thank you. Thank you for planting that seed, because he saw a glimpse of brilliance in me, okay? Because obviously he treats athletes in his clinic every day. And that was the start. So I went home, I spoke to my parents after the bike ride that week, and I said to my mum, God love her, I said, I'm going to start training for the Paralympics next week. She said, oh, good luck. What would you like for tea? It just went over her head, you know. And my dad said to me, he said, Paralympics? What do you mean Paralympics, Mark? And I said, look, Dad, I'm going to start training. You know, I'm just gonna give it a go, because in my opinion, everybody, you know, fails at something, okay? But what's not okay is not trying. I said, I'm going to start training for the Paralympics. And he said, Mark, come here. He put his arm around me and he said, look, don't be so foolish. Just go back to work. Just go back to work. just forget this Olympic, Paralympic dream that you've always had ever since I was a child, you know?
Really? You've had that dream?
Ever since I was a kid. All my friends knew I wanted to be a professional athlete in whatever sport. And my dad said to me, just go back to work. And I said, Dad, come here. I said, if you remember, you taught me as a child that if you have a dream in life, whatever that dream is, just never give up. No, I said, I'm going to do this with or without you. I said, it's your choice. Oh, you do whatever you want, he said. I said, because if I'm going to be successful, it's going to be down to me. If I'm going to fail, it'll be down to me. And he turned to my mother, Margaret, and he said, Margaret, have a word with your son. I think he's lost it. And that was the start. That was the start of meeting great coaches, great nutritionists.
Well, this is the thing, like you decide within 2 years you want to do London 2012. Is the infrastructure there for you in Wales to kind of get the training in? And what's the preparation process like to get to kind of peak condition for the games?
It is. And there's a lot that isn't known about Disability Sport Wales. There certainly is more now known about Disability Sport Wales. And I have to commend and thank my great friend and great first cycling coach is a gentleman called Neil Smith. And Neil Smith is an incredible individual who gives up his time as a volunteer because he has an incredible global job, a global professional job that he gives up his time, to help disabled people like myself to then make it into the world-class cycling program. So Neil is almost like a facilitator as a talent scout, you know. And Neil rang British Cycling and he said to British Cycling, this is a great story. He said, I have an athlete in Wales. He's 40 years of age, 41 almost, and he's really powerful. He's a C1 category rider, which is my category.
What does that mean?
So there's 5 different categories in paracycling. So you have C5, C4, C3, C2, and C1, which is myself, okay, which is the most disabled in paracycling. And Neil said, I have this athlete, he's 41, he's really powerful, you know, he's broken his back. And British Cycling said, well, we've never heard of him before, you know, where does he come from? And Neil's words were, he's fell out of the sky, literally. So British Cycling came to take a look at me in the velodrome, you know, in South Wales, and they said, okay, we'll take you on, almost as a gamble, you know, and 5 races later, 5 medals later, that was just the start, you know, that was the start. And then moving to Manchester, becoming part of the, you know, the British Cycling, world-class cycling program, that was just a dream come true. You know, training twice a week with people like, you know, Sir Chris Hoy, you know, Victoria Pendleton, all of these global icons, you know, Sarah Storey, Jodie Cundy, world champions, Paralympic champions, world record holders.
Everyone going for Olympics at that point.
And Margaret's boy turns up literally out of the blue, you know, to live out this journey, you know, and it was a hell of a journey. So then I won the World Championships in Los Angeles, which was February 2012, 7 months before the games, which I guess even now was a very memorable moment for me and a very sad moment because it was the day before my race, my dad passed away. So you can imagine, now you know the story, now you know the emotions of traveling to Los Angeles with British Cycling to represent my country, you know, to then have that phone call to say that my dad had passed away with stomach cancer, you know. So when you dig deep to the emotional reason why we do what we do, this is so important for your audience. As I said earlier on, when you think there's no more steps left, think about why you're doing what you're doing. Who are you doing it for? And for me, it was my dad, you know. So the next day, I won the World Championships, you know, the 3-kilometer pursuit. And even now, to this day, I still can't remember the race.
Really?
Just because I guess I was full of tears, you know, emotions, anger, frustration. And yeah, you know, it was a difficult time, but a very joyful time. And that was the start to the run-up.
The road to the Olympics.
For London 2012, you know, when the whole world was watching, you know, and the whole country got behind us. So to 100%. Go into the Paralympics as a world champion, the pressure was on me, which is fine. All the work was done, all the training, you know, the diet, the lifestyle, the mindset, you know. And what I have in the box is my childhood dream.
Amazing.
You know. So yeah, so going into the Paralympics,
Wow.
to, to chase this dream after everything I've been through, I can't thank the people that helped me, the coaches, working with Professor Steve Peters, who was the psychiatrist at British Cycling, and the psychologist, of just helping me to become the person I always wanted to be, to win that medal that I always wanted to, but never thought was possible. I never thought it was possible. But a big thanks to all the people that did help to make that dream come true. And, to go into the London Paralympic Games was just a moment, just a moment in time I'll never forget. And even now, as a former world and Paralympic champion, as an international speaker, I now travel the world sharing, the key principles, that have helped me.
This is the thing, like you mentioned the day before the Worlds, your dad passed away, and you you speak a lot about kind of dealing with setbacks. People who have, I guess, setbacks maybe in comparison to yours, smaller, bigger, whatever. What is like a key takeaway that you can share with people who might be at home watching now, who have small, their own issues that they look to overcome? Is there anything small you can share with them?
Very much so. And that's one of my passions now, is helping other people, helping other people to deal with change, and the first thing to identify...
Change is a nice way rather than a setback.
100%, yeah, 100%, because the one thing to understand is change will always happen, okay? In our life, through the evolution of human beings, change will always happen. Don't think it will never stop, because it'll always continue. But it's identifying the voice in our head that allows us to think emotionally rather than the human that thinks logically. Does that make sense? So to move on with change, just very quickly, otherwise it's a 1 hour conversation.
I know, but I could be learning, so I'm like all ears.
is how we deal with change, thinking logically, not emotionally. So think about this. All of your audience, okay? Put yourself in my position on the start line, racing in the Paralympic final, okay, in London 2012. If I thought about the crowd, the noise, 7,000 people, if I thought about the competitor I was racing against, those thoughts are not going to help me to win. But what will help me to win is the logical thinking, step-by-step process to win. So holding on tight, breathing in deep, listening for the beeps, beep, beep, beep. And as soon as you start thinking logically, the crowd disappear. The emotions disappear. It's all about logical thinking. So to deal with change, it's difficult. I'm not saying it's easy, but in my opinion, it's the old saying, is it easy to get to the top? Hell no. Is it possible? Absolutely. So it's overcoming change through logical thinking, okay? There is a time and a place for emotion. I agree, 100%, but not if you're trying to overcome something that's unprecedented change, if that makes sense. How many people have broke their screen on their mobile phone? Okay, that's a small change, but in the grand scheme of things, it's a huge change, So it's overcoming it with, okay, I broke my screen, how do I get it fixed? There's simple logical thinking, isn't it?
I hope we can take something from that and I guess use it in our own daily lives. This, one would assume, would be a career highlight, which of course it is. But then you went on to be an Order of the British Empire. Would that be the career highlight for you? And what was that moment like?
I think the important thing for me, is, being awarded the MBE by His Royal Highness Prince Charles is not something you can train for. It's a gift. It's a gift that's given by the country for my services to sport, my services to my country. And for me personally, it was my services to my family, because both my parents understandably thought I was crazy. I've just broken my back. Now I want to start training for the Paralympics. I said to my dad, I said, I'm not crazy. I'm far from crazy. I'm just a logical thinking human being who holds emotion to one side as and when I need to use it, if that makes sense, But to be awarded the MBE, to take my mother, because my dad had obviously passed away, to take my mum.
Your mum was there for that moment.
My mum was there, my daughter was there as well, and yeah, it was her day. It was my mum's day, because think about everything she had seen her son go through, you know. It was just probably heartbreaking for her, you know. And I'll never forget the moment, you know, that my parents came into the hospital the day I broke my back. And my mother was in tears. And my dad leaned over and he held me and he said, I told you to be careful, didn't I? And I'm like, oh, Dad, now is not the time, you know. But that's emotional thinking, you know. So to take my mum to Buckingham Palace, to the most prestigious, you know, house in the world almost, you know, it was her day. And the great thing for me personally is that my mum's birthday is the same as Prince Charles, the 14th of November. So Prince Charles, sir, if you're watching, you know, that's just a great moment for me and my family, you know.
Look, what an honor. It was her day, but it was also your day. And your story is so inspirational. And it's been a true honor. That's unfortunately the time that we have today, but it's been a true honor.
Thank you.
To have you on the show, and those like little tidbits that hopefully we can transform into our own lives. We really appreciate your time. So thank you for coming in today.
My pleasure, and good luck, everybody. Thank you.
Guys, that is all we have time for on the Love in Dubai show. That was Mark Colburn MBE, and we'll see you tomorrow morning, same time, same place. Stay safe and wash your hands. Bye-bye.